Hey, listeners. Welcome back to Dismantling Injustice, where we are continuing our Pride series. And today we're joined by Gabrielle Inès Souza, the Executive Director of the Okra Project. We discuss the barriers facing Black trans folks, why mutual aid is necessary to remove these barriers, and why we must continue to invest in Black trans joy. So when we come back, we'll be talking to Gabrielle. Gabrielle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Carl. I'm excited.
I've heard so much about the Okra Project, especially over the last couple of years, but I've never met anyone that works at the Okra Project. And so I'm excited to just absorb all of your knowledge and your energy. So could you just start by telling us a bit about yourself and how you came to the work that you do at the Okra Project?
Absolutely. First, I want to say thank you for having me, Carl. It is such a pleasure to be here. I think it's also just very important that Black trans femmes like myself who are leading the work are given platforms like this to speak about it freely and openly, to get the message out there. So thank you. My name is Gabrielle Inès Souza. I'm actually originally from St. Louis, Missouri. Spent a lot of time during my summers growing up in Houma, Louisiana with my extended family. So Midwest and Southern roots all run through my blood and through my veins. And I moved to New York to work with the Okra Project about a year and a half ago. I was actually already doing some advocacy work and putting together events that would benefit my community in St. Louis and throughout the Midwest. And the Okra Project took notice of that. The Okra Project team at the time took notice of that, and they wanted to interview me for a position here at the Okra Project back in November 2021. And I happened to take that position, and I had to move also to New York. So that is basically what brought me to the Okra Project. My own advocacy work that I was doing, being recognized for it on a national scale, and then them saying basically like, hey, we love what you're doing. We would love for you to come and work with us.
That's amazing. And could you tell us a little bit about what the Okra Project does?
Yeah, the Okra Project is a mutual aid collective. At baseline, I love to describe it in a way as we redistribute wealth. That's basically what we do to Black and Brown trans individuals. Our motto is Black trans femmes to the front. We take donations. We make partnerships with companies and businesses that want to support, learn about our work, and uplift our work. And we just redistribute that wealth to the community that needs it the most.
Why is mutual aid, why is it important? Why it is an essential strategy to support Black trans folks in the US?
When you think about the Black trans community, the Black trans and queer community, that community is a sub-community of just the Black community as a whole. And over these last couple of years, with Trump in office and all these other things, we talk about the disparities that Black people face. But then we have to take it a step further, and we really have to dig into and dive deeper into the fact that Black trans and queer individuals are also at the bottom of that totem pole, right? So they're not receiving resources. They don't have access to health care. They don't have fair access to housing and things like that. So the work that we do here is to, in full transparency, I say that the work that we do, while it is great, it is really just a Band-Aid, right? In my advocacy and work, I'm outside of spreading the wealth and providing resources, I'm also fighting, laws and legislature and speaking to government officials to make sure that we can get access to the things that the community needs. So with that being said, to answer your question more directly, like the community is not receiving the things that they need from the powers that be. And so oftentimes what you will see in the beauty, I think, of the Black trans and queer community is that we are able to take care of each other and uplift each other, and we are able to receive resources and then spread them amongst our community in order to take care of one another. So I think mutual aid is important in that aspect because we already know, the wagon, so to speak, to save us isn't coming, and we don't know when it will come. But what we do know to be true is that we can rely on our allies and our community to support one another.
I totally hear you. And you know what I appreciate, and we've talked to a couple of mutual aid collectives on this podcast, organizations like Okra Project step in both where like the government isn't doing its job,
Yeah.
but also has to do that double thing of like also fighting the government to get the
Yes.
resources as well.
Yes.
So it's like, we have to have us.
Yeah, we have to. It's imperative. I think when we think about Black, trans, and queer liberation, it's really imperative to really lean into community and create these social safety nets, so to speak, of mutual aid that keep us safe, keep us together, and really just supporting one another.
Absolutely. Now, I know you said that you're new to New York. The Okra Project is a national organization, but I'd love to hear just, in your time as a New Yorker, what are some of the specific needs and barriers that you've seen facing Black trans New Yorkers specifically?
When I came to the Okra Project, not being a New Yorker, I found it to be very important for me to gain some insight to the community. And while I knew certain community members that stayed here via social media or um, through campaigns and things we may have worked together on in the past, I really didn't have a close ear to the community in the way that I wanted to really make sure that my work and the programs that I was creating would be effective and helpful. And that is one of the things I think that we do pride ourselves here with at the Okra Project. We are always keeping an ear to the ground and remaining in and with community so we can learn the needs. And so what I did coming to New York is I went on this kind of like, I guess you could call it like a media tour, kind of sort of, in which I set up conversations with local community activists and leaders here, explained my new position, explained my vision for what I had for the Okra Project, what I had already been doing back home in St. Louis, um, and really just asked, those really pressing questions of what does the community here need? I think when I entered the Okra Project, it was at a pivotal time to where Okra was reestablishing itself within the community. Um, and so, yeah, it was imperative for me to have these conversations and learn about what community needed baseline. And that's been pivotal to the success of Okra now and our current programming. That's also been pivotal to my success and important to my success here at the Okra Project is really just keeping that line of clear communication with the people that we're serving and our constituents.
That makes sense because we New Yorkers, we know like if you come in as a stranger and you just tell us what we need, we're not going to listen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I,
Yeah.
I and I think that I didn't want to step on any toes. There's so many other great organizations out here that are doing great work within the community. And when I think about the work that collectives like the Okra Project do, you want to make sure, at least to me, I not only want to support my sister organizations, but I want to make sure that we're addressing the issue at all the roots, right? And so that means like if one organization is doing food outreach, then there's really no reason for me to do food outreach here at Okra. I can then pivot to something else that's not being addressed because every organization that I have come across and I've learned in the same way that Okra does, we all have our own niche. So, yeah, it's
Yep.
really important to just really talk to people.
That totally makes sense. Now, outside of being, a mutual aid project, you all do a lot of fantastic and dynamic programming at the Okra Project. Recently, you all concluded the 2023 Black Trans Joy Fund.
Mhm.
Can you talk about why is investing in Black trans joy so critical for individual and collective liberation?
I think, and I'll start this off by speaking from my own experience as a Black trans femme. I think that experiencing joy really affirms that I'm Black, I'm trans, I'm deserving. I reject pedestals, I reject objectification, I reject isolation, and I receive community and warmth and commitment to a transformative life experience for myself and my Black trans siblings. And I think that is important when we think about Black trans joy, and especially for me. But I think the second part about that is Black trans joy is really just getting your needs met, having community, knowing that you're cared for, feeling like you're cared for, feeling like you're seen, you're heard. I I experienced Black Trans Joy, in person with one of my sister organizations here, Black Trans Liberation Kitchen here in Brooklyn, New York, that put together these communal events of just love and Black trans joy, where you get to see so many Black trans and queer people share space with one another. And
Mm-hmm.
there's food and there's meals, and you really just see the happiness and the joy on people's faces just from being fed, and also being able to see community members and speak to community members. And so when we created the Black Trans Joy Fund, it was created in this way that we are providing you with this amount of money for a stipend, but that also means that you can use it on whatever it is that brings you joy. So if that means taking yourself out to dinner, um, going to get your nails done, buying yourself that shirt that you've been eyeing online, at whatever store that it is that you like, buying yourself a book, um, things like that, I think, are rooted in Black trans joy and liberation, just having our needs met, um, and being provided avenues that we are able to kind of have control over what that looks like, and being able to do something nice for ourselves, or being able to have someone else do something nice for us. I can't tell you, Car, the amount of messages after the Black Trans Joy Fund that we got, that people were just like, this really helped me out in this way. Um, and it's just so beautiful to witness that, and get those messages and receive those messages from people who have received the help. So, um, as far as the investment into Black Trans Joy, it's very powerful, it's very meaningful, um, and it's necessary.
That's just so amazing because so often when we, like in definitely with the government, but even nonprofits, when they set up these funds, they give you money and it's like you have to use it for this purpose, or you
Yes.
have to, this is housing assistance, this is assistance for food, this is for clothing. But really, what you all did was like, this is for your happiness and your peace and your joy. And you go do whatever you want or need to do with it. And that's I feel that's just really really meaningful.
Thank you. Yeah. And even we really don't, there's some other organizations out there that are set up in a way like you spoke to, that's like, oh well, like, this type of support that we're giving you is for your rent. And then they may, you know ask for a receipt from you paying for that rent, or may ask for, eviction notice letters and things like that. And what I think a lot of those organizations miss the mark on is, not only are you creating the same hurdles and hoops that the government creates for us to receive assistance and joy and support, but you're also re traumatizing people. I mean, you think
Yeah.
about it, if you're already houseless or on the brink of being houseless because you didn't make your rent or can't make your rent, I can't tell you, like, you're probably already in a state of shock, embarrassment, shame, however you may be feeling. Then to have to dig that up and provide it to someone that you don't know on the other side, that may be judging you or things like that, just it is
Mhm.
just adding another layer of trauma. So here at the Okra Project, we really, while we do have to operate within guidelines, like W-9s and things like that, um, we try to make it as simple and easy as possible, that we just want to provide resources and assistance for you to utilize it in whatever way that you may need, even if you applied, to the food pantry program, or stipend program. If you know that there's something else that you could use that on, like a utility bill, I personally want you to utilize that on a utility bill.
Mhm.
So it creates that level of freedom to it, and really just in the investment of Black trans joy and liberation, and access and resources.
So what else do you all have on the horizon? What other initiatives and programs does the Okra Project have in the oven?
I'm always constantly, I will say, shout out to my program manager, Max Regano, who we have had on staff since September of 2022. And he and I work collectively to create programs. Again, it's about keeping our ear to the ground, and really hearing the needs of our community. So some of the programs that you all have already seen at the Okra Project, such as our rental assistance, our utility assistance programs, those are what we call our legacy programs, meaning that those are programs that will run year round around the same time of the year. We create, a program calendar that goes out to 2024, but there's always new partnerships that are coming in. We just had a partnership with Dig right here. I think his Dig is right here in New York, and maybe I think in DC, in the Baltimore area, possibly.
Mm.
Um, and they're taking in donations, but they're really food centered. So when I think about programs and partnerships and things like that, I'm really intentional about the things that I do here at the Okra Project to make sure that they're in alignment with our mission, our values, and what we stand for here. So I think you'll see. So to answer your question, Kyle, you'll see the legacy programs that you've seen, of course, because I think those are things that are always needed within our community. But here and there, we do have a couple programs that we do kind of, which I call ad hoc programming, where we create something special. We just had the Flowers Fund release, which is, a fund honoring, leaders. It is not lost on me that, the Black trans femmes, that lead the work of liberation. A lot of times when we are creating resources and things like that, it is not far from fact that we also need those same resources that we're creating. Um, so really pouring back into community, into that way, into the leaders of mutual aid collectives and activists and leaders in community that are really grounded in and doing this work and making sure that they are also supported so that they can continue to do this work. So yeah, I just say stay tuned and see what we have. We always have some things up our sleeves. This Pride season has also been very, very busy. We had a magical moment on Monday where the Stonewall Inn and Cabaret and Broadway singers hosted an event for the benefit of the Okra Project, which was really, really, really phenomenal and really, really great. And it was really surreal to be, I think, at the Stonewall Inn with an event benefiting an organization that I run as a Black trans woman. And we all know how Stonewall started, with the brick being thrown and Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and all those wonderful Black individuals who really kicked off the liberation movement. It was really special to be in that space and be supported, and have my work supported in the way that it was, but also celebrate Black artistry, both queer, cis, whatever, and for all us to come together in that moment and raise funds for community. So it was pretty great. So we'll see some more events, I'm sure, down the line too. And I was really excited.
How can people support and learn more about your work?
So I will say we just did a total rebrand. We just wrote out a new website. If those of you listening have not had an opportunity to check out the website,
It looks amazing.
thank you. Everyone always like, oh, I love the color scheme. The design around the website was I wanted to make it more approachable, more easy to navigate, but also I wanted to add some color in there that kind of like just speaks to the root of the way that I feel about the Black trans community. Um, And so they can head over to the website, theokraproject.com. You can follow us on Instagram, The Okra Project, to keep up with everything that we're doing. And yeah, you can donate through our website as well. Um, and support our work in that way. I always say when people ask me like, how do we support the work that you do? You know, again, mutual aid is at the top of the list. Putting money in the hands of the people that need it most is at the top of the list. So always I say donate, donate, donate. If not donating to the Okra Project, then I really encourage others to donate to Black, trans, and queer individuals GoFundMe's for surgeries, for their hormone replacement therapy, for medical or mental health assistance and things like that they start. Um, but yeah, open your wallets, open your purses, all those things. I always tell people to do that, and that's how people can support.
Gabrielle, thank you so much for joining us. This was just incredibly, like, I don't know, like, I'm leaving the conversation feeling a sense of joy.
Good, good. That makes me happy.
That you all exist, that you're here doing this amazing work in New York, and really a sense of hope. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Carl. Thank you so very much. Thank you for uplifting the work that we do here and letting me talk about what it is that I do. And also just allowing this conversation to really be a platform for Black trans and queer joy.
Thanks again for joining us. Dismantling Injustice is brought to you by Envision Freedom Fund, an organization that works to transform the immigration and criminal legal systems while meeting the critical needs of individuals impacted by these systems daily. To learn more about our work and donate, visit us at envisionfreedom.org. That's envisionfreedom.org. Dismantling Injustice was created by Sally Israel. Our executive producer is Abigail Wolf, and hosted by Carl Hammett Lipscomb. That's me. Special thanks to the team at Envision Freedom for being amazing. Until we're all free, peace out.